This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome, folks. I'm Jamie Migdal, and I'm your host on Pets Mean Business on Pet Life Radio Network. And I am so happy to be here with you guys today. As you know, I took a couple of months off and had my first podcast back. I think it was about a week ago. And here we are now with another very exciting show and a great friend of mine that I will be talking about momentarily. But in the meantime, let's just talk about the show, what this is, why we do it, how we do it, when we do it. All of those things, all the ifs and whens and what's your why and all these things. So there's this thing in startup business where people talk about when you're growing a business or you're doing something out of passion, which is what's your why? Like find your why. It's a little bit cheesy and I think it's overused and overstated and overdone. But it does, when you think about why you do things, it does give you a second to sit back when you're really being intentional about answering that question. And as I was looking through my podcast typical kind of written introduction, which I really like because I wrote it and I use it all the time, I was starting to think about, well, let me think about like why we're even doing this show, like why we spend time, resources, why we, drag people on the show, why our producer believes in us so much, like why do we have 40,000 downloads a month? Like what is really going on with this show and why do we do this? And it's just because of one reason, because my entire professional mission is my company's mission, the show's mission is to help inspire people to follow their passions within one particular industry, which happens to be, of course, the pet industry. And I think that we are continuing to do that on a podcast by podcast basis. And, the beauty behind that why is that we're finding that it actually is working, that people are reaching out to us and saying, hey, I really learned something. I didn't know I can do that. That person really inspired me. I didn't know that career path was actually a real option. So for me, the whys are, if it's actually impacting people and the words that we're saying and the things that we're doing and the guests that we have on are actually having an impact on making people's lives different, then we're satisfying the why, which is helping people to follow their passion, to find their own greatness, to realize that the pet industry, if that's where they want to be, that there's a place for you. And that's really what it comes down to for the last 20 years or 25 years that I've been in the industry. I have not yet had a single day where I haven't felt really inspired by the industry or excited by, even on like the hardest, most frustrating, really tough days, whether it's personal days around like my dog died a couple weeks ago. That was a hard day in the pet industry. Or, days that just feel like it's an uphill battle. Even those really dark days, I still feel inspired by the support and growth that this industry has to offer. On my best days, I just feel like I have to pinch myself because the people and the things and everything around it are just the opportunity is just so vast. And I'm so grateful that this industry exists for people. All right, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. But the point is here, simple point, which is that there's a lot of really great people in this pet industry and they're building amazing things and they're innovating and they're risk-taking and they're opening up possibilities for so many people and so many pets. And it's just such a great place to be. And this show is a way to open the window and open the door to some of those things that you may not be aware of if you're exploring the pet industry or even if you're already in the pet industry. So if you're sitting here right now thinking, hey, I want to work with pets, or I already work with pets, but I want to do more, this is the show for you. We're here for you. I'm here for you. You can always reach out to me. I can introduce you to any of my guests or maybe even other people. Jamie at PetLifeRadio.com. And if you want a home in the pet industry, there's a chair for you, there's a couch for you, there's a bed for you, there's a key for you, like whatever you need, you'll come in and we'll make it work for you because our whys are aligned with what you need. I guarantee it. So today, speaking of all of that, one of the other cool things about the pet industry is that you meet awesome people and you make really good friends and lifelong friends and people that you feel a kinship with or to, whatever the proper preposition is for that. And today's guest, for me, is exactly that person. So my guest, when we come back from our break, I'm going to introduce you to Mike Linville of Black Dog Marketing. Yes, Black Dog Marketing. And he's been around since 1998. I've known Mike for the last couple of years. I've known of him for longer, of course, but I've known him personally now for a couple of years. And when I was looking at potential guests for today's show and thinking about that part of our why or part of what we want to do is not only bring people into the pet industry, but people who are already here, give them tools to continue to grow. And, part of that is about thinking about this as truly an industry that requires business solutions. And as I think about the business solutions that are required to move businesses forward, marketing is at the top of that list. So I invited Mike to come on today, talk to us about marketing. And it's funny because when he talks about marketing, as you will soon see, he gets really excited. And so he's a pretty chill dude. He's a really chill dude, but he gets really excited. If you want to check out who Mike is, you'll go to his website. You'll see his picture on PetLifeRadio.com's website. But he's like this, super tall guy, big beard. Like he's such a chill, fun, like just a great guy, but he just gets like really jazzed about marketing. And that's why he's here today, because if we're going to talk about marketing, which by the way, marketing is everything. If you've ever seen Spaceballs, the movie, it's a good Mel Brooks film. If you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend it. But there's a line in that movie, which is, it's all about marketing. So, and it's true because it is all about marketing. Passion, domain expertise, obviously a lot of things go into running a good business, but marketing is a huge cornerstone. So when we get back from break, we're going to talk to Mike Linville from Black Dog Marketing, all about marketing. And so this is great for you, for me, for everyone. We'll be right back.
You know that feeling when you go to clean the litter box and it's a complete disaster? Yeah, we've got you covered. Introducing World's Best Cat Litter Zero Mess, the advanced litter that gives you 2 times better clumping and more odor control with less litter. Zero Mess combines the concentrated power of corn with super absorbent plant fibers. Translation, scoop once and you're done. Find it at a pet store near you and save $2. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. You're back on this wonderful radio show, which is called Pets Mean Business on Pet Life Radio Network. I'm Jamie Migdal, your host or hostess. No, I think we're going to go host. And with me today, as I spoke of him earlier before break, is my friend and colleague, Mike Linville. He is a marketing expert, and he markets his expertise is for small business owners, which is really a segment that probably needs most marketing help. Big businesses have departments and budgets, but small businesses don't have those things. So thank gosh that there's a guy like Mike. And he does lots of cool things. He has personal coaching and training programs, and he really makes the marketing work for the business owner and with the business owner, and keeps people on track with efforts and solutions, and is really clear about deliverables and expectations. So he's a really cool guy, and he's, a really hard worker. He's typically found, I think, probably mostly in front of his computer, but he's also does a lot of other things, including hanging out with his newfie named Milo. But enough about Milo. Let's talk about Mike. Mike, welcome to Pets Mean Business.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
That intro was amazing. I mean, flattery will get you everywhere. So, whatever you need, you just, I'm here.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? Let's do me a favor. Let's start out by just giving website and Twitter, because some folks, what I've learned is that when they're listening to the show, like they'll have it on their laptop while they're like doing other work, and they might want to go and check out websites so they get a sense of who you are while we're talking. Sure. So website, please.
Website would be just blackdogmarketing.com. All spelled out, all one word.
Terrific. Twitter
would be the handles at BLKDOGMKTG.
Okay.
Although I have to be honest with you, I'm not huge on Twitter.
Okay, he's not huge on Twitter. He has to be honest. You're just not huge on Twitter. That's okay. But you
Facebook,
are.
I think Facebook is pretty much where, from a social standpoint, where we spend most of our time, just because that's where, again, we focus on small business. So that's where a lot of our clients and customers are hanging out.
Actually, I'm going to look at your Facebook page right now. And I feel like I've looked at it a couple of times. I'm going to look at it right now because I think that is. See, I'm going to do the same thing that listeners do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you got a cool little. We know a lot of my friends follow you. Oh yeah, this is
probably horrific because we haven't looked at it in a while. But what's that saying? If something about a cobbler's son or cobbler's something, no shoes. I don't know.
Yeah, dentist kids, cavities, that sort of thing. But I'll tell you what, you're being really hard on yourself because, by the way, you have a quote on here from July 3rd from Simon Sinek, who is the why guy.
Yeah, love Simon Sinek.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to go into that, but since you have a quote on him on July 3rd on your Facebook page, you actually have quoted him right here. Now, a lot of people have a problem with him because he's kind of mean to millennials. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I work with millennials. In fact, most of my team are millennials. I don't even get what that means anymore, by the way. Mm-hmm. But I don't align with him at all. I think that he's way off base on some of that. But I think that other than that, I really think he's amazing. Here's the quote that you had. Can I read it? This quote that you had? Okay, you said, if you have the opportunity to do amazing things in your life, I strongly encourage you to invite someone to join you. That is awesome. So that's who you are. Like, that is really here. Here's another quote you have on here. Always do your best. What you plant now, you will harvest later. That's another quote by, what's this person's name? Og Mandino?
Yeah, Og Mandino.
Og Mandino. Who's that?
Love it. It was an old sales trainer guy from way back. Og Mandino. Yeah, lots of, just old school kind of like business guy.
Yeah, that's a really, really powerful and like one of those like, yeah, of course, quotes. Here's another one. Rest and be thankful. And that was for the weekend. Wow, listen, you're not allowed to say that you're, whose fireworks were? That's at your neighborhood or my neighborhood?
Not mine.
Oh, that was
They're
for
illegal.
sure Chicago. That was for sure. So listen, I'm going to say.
Are you sure those were fireworks?
It was for sure fireworks. Yeah, exactly. Good point. So we're recording this on Wednesday, July 5th, and I live in Chicago in a neighborhood I don't live, my office. Well, I live here, and I actually live down the street from my office, but in a place called Humboldt Park, Wicker Park, Bucktown, which is a pretty edgy part of town, super trendy, cool, love it, great, everything, businesses, people, like, oh, look it, there it is. So listen, Mark, our producer who's listening in, he's like, what's going on over there? There's nothing I can do. It's a day after the 4th of July in a neighborhood that really likes their fireworks.
Yeah, so, it's a 4th of July authenticity. Leave it in there.
It really is, so much so. So my point is here before the fireworks, and listen, last night they went until like 4 a.m, let me tell you. So your Facebook is really good. I mean, first of all, you're a marketer. So even if you're calling my whole like cobbles, kids cobble, whatever, dentist cavities thing, I disagree because I look at your Facebook page and I see nothing but, really, really clear, clean messaging that you know how to deliver a message consistently, because I'm looking through your Facebook page and it's super consistent. It's really awesome. So shame on you for not thinking. Okay, so all right, so let's talk about you. So what's your story? I mean, I know your story, but why don't we talk about your story? So you've been doing this. How did you get into marketing? Like, well, first of all, you have some fundamental beliefs, I know, and I feel like those beliefs people should know because these are your 3 whys. So do you want to tell what they are? Your 3 the 3 fundamental things that drive what you guys at Black Marketing do? Well,
I guess, I don't know. I mean, are they listed on the website? I don't know.
I have. You wrote them. You actually wrote them. I'm going to read them since you don't have them in front of you. And once I read them, you're going to be like, oh yeah, of course, duh. Oh, yeah. So number 1, our clients are the reason that we get to do what we do every day. Mm-hmm. Number 2, which I love this number 2 so much. It's all about the data. And number 3, also love. And I love all of these, by the way, because if this is just brilliant. Number 3 is responsible design is the only design. From a marketing perspective, this is really what it's all about. And somehow, so you did, by the way, these are your words. And that's why I think why people are driven to you. And that's why I think you've had the success that you've had. So let's talk about that. Like, how have you been scaling your business? How did you start out? Let's start at the beginning. How did you start out by working in the marketing world? And this is all pre-digital. So 1998.
Yeah, no problem. So in 1998, I had actually gotten out of the service and I was, going back to school. I was going to school to get my degree in engineering. And I had a buddy of mine that was helping me out. And so by helping me out, I say he would pay me like $8 an hour cash to dig ditches for his construction company. And I was super appreciative for it. So I was like, okay, cool. And he came to me one day and he said, I have this idea. What do you think? This is, 98. This is back Yahoo and, when we used to get all those AOL CDs and stuff like that. So the internet, people just didn't really know where this thing was going. He said, what about if we do this? So we put together a construction directory that had about 2 million. We didn't know what we were doing, by the way, but we put together a directory that had about 2 million records, 2 million construction contractors listed nationally. And that was kind of like how we got started from being a college student into the world of online. And what happened was I ended up graduating from Davis, which is where I went to school, got my degree, everything was fine. And what I realized was that I liked doing the web work more. I was doing the web work to help pay the bills and stuff like that as I was going through school. And I enjoyed that because I got to meet new people. I got to learn about different business models and figure out what people were doing and how they needed help. It was something different every day. At the same time, I also had an internship with the Sacramento County Water Agency, and I was doing things like getting coffee and power calculations. And, and Jamie, you know me, I'm not a khakis kind of guy. By any stretch of the mean. Nope. So it just didn't resonate with me, So when I got my degree, I said thank you. I didn't even go walk with my company. I was busy working, or walk with the class. But I got the degree and I put it in a folder somewhere, and I just kept on doing the web stuff. So we started our first web business back in 1998, and then after probably close to a decade of doing just website design, website redesigns. This was back before WordPress, so we were doing all custom programming, custom content management system. We were a really kind of a unique web shop. We were a data-heavy, back-end database people. I think that's where my love for data came from. But what we realized was that people were coming to us and they were saying, look, I want to redesign my website. I want to do this. I want to do that. And we're like, okay, but why? Like they would redesign their website assuming that was going to give them somehow new business. And I was like, well, you might get a little bit of an SEO bump if this new website is better than the last one, which it should be. But realistically, when you're redesigning a website, all you're doing is making the same site pretty for the people that already know you. So if you want to generate new business, we've got to do something different. The website redesign is not the solution. So that was when I started really diving deep into my own education. And I don't have degrees in digital programming, but I've done basically every program that was put together from 2009 to probably 2014, everything. Everything, $1,000 programs, $10,000 programs, $25,000. I was just investing because I knew that's what I needed in order to be a full service agency for my clients, because I can build websites. We've been doing it for 20 years. And quite honestly, at this point, it's a little bit boring. Right. Where it really gets interesting is when we can talk to a business as a human and say, okay, what do you need out of this business? What do you need to get out of this? And then we figure out a way, we come up with a plan and say, okay, this is going to be it.
So
this is how we're going to get there.
Let me go back for a second, because you said something that really resonated with me and probably resonates with a lot of people, especially people on the brink of entrepreneurship or people who are looking to continue to grow in their current position. You said this, and you said it really meaningfully, which is, I don't have a degree in that stuff, but. Now, I don't know. I think unless you're like a doctor or a lawyer or a CPA, where like there's such technical things and there's licensing and there's things, like I have found that the best entrepreneurs that I know, truly, and I this is by no means to be disrespectful to the folks that don't fall into this category, but the best entrepreneurs I know don't have MBAs from Harvard and don't necessarily have a degree in their current line of study or their current line of business. Think about obviously I'm in the pet industry. There is no masters of pets, right? There's no bachelors of dog training or what have you, or of owning a daycare or starting a dog walking company. Like I do think that it is on the entrepreneur, like you did yourself, to figure these things out. Where are your gaps in knowledge and to fill them on your own? And it doesn't need to be through some fancy degree to program. So I think that, what do you think about that?
I agree. I agree 100%. I think it's like anything else. You kind of have to take a look at these things, because I've had the opportunity. I've actually looked at going back and getting my MBA twice now. And, when I go back and I take a look at it, I do just like I make any other decision in my business. I say, okay, give me a pros and cons list. Like even though I'm a digital marketer, I still will print stuff up. I still have 4 notepads on my desk.
Yep.
I'm still an old school paper guy because I like to see it. I like to stick stuff up on my whiteboard, and I'll sit there and do a pro cons. And, at the time I was like, I can do it, but it doesn't make sense. It's not going to help take my customers to the next level, because that's really what it's about, right? I think that as a service business, we have a responsibility to provide, it sounds weird, but a service, and to do it with a smile and to do it professionally and know that you're bringing best quality solutions to the marketplace. So, some people like degrees. Some people really, they enjoy that kind of stuff that makes them feel comfortable, and that's fine. I just tell them, hey, look, I'm probably not your guy. There's other people that like suit guys. I'm not a suit guy either.
Right. No, you're not a suit guy. You are so.
I have one.
Do you really?
It's my funeral suit.
Oh. Right. Funeral, wedding, and possible.
Yeah, my funeral, wedding, and 50-year anniversary suit. So
good. Every man needs to have a good suit. So can you hear these fireworks? I'm sure their producer is going crazy with this. It is pretty amazing. So the black dog piece. Let's talk about the origin story of. So I get the story of how we are here today, but did you? I know you because of the pet industry, right?
Yep.
So can you clarify for me? Give me the ratio of businesses on your client roster that are pet versus non-pet.
I would think probably from just a sheer number of clients, whatever that is, mean, median, just kind of the number. Probably 85 to 90% of my clients are in the pet space. From a revenue standpoint, I would say probably 5% of my clients are in a pet space.
Whoa, hold on. Well,
it gets crazy. I know.
Back it up, my friend. Back it up. Yep. So I want to make sure I understand. So you're saying that we'll go 80%. 80% of your clients have a pet business.
Yes.
Yet only 5% of the revenue comes from them?
Maybe 10. Maybe this is at least the way that it's kind of worked for us.
Okay.
I come from, my father was a heating and air guy. He crawled around in attics until he was 50 plus. So I have a warm spot in my heart for small business owners. But as a service provider, small business owners can be some of the most frustrating people to work with. I hope I'm not alienating your audience here, but it's a lot more challenging to sell somebody who's, running a pet sitting business, to sell them $200 worth of marketing as it is to sell a Fortune 1000 company $200,000 worth of marketing.
Yeah.
Because they get it, right? The value, they get the value, they can track it through. And quite honestly, because they have the money. I mean, we talk to a lot of folks in the pet space and, we've sold packages everywhere from $9 little ebooks all the way up to $997 programs. And, depending upon where you go in the pet space, there's just a lot of folks that are they just don't have a lot of money for marketing.
I think you're absolutely right about that. I think, it's not in terms of money for marketing. I don't think it's about money. I think it's about understanding of how their money is being utilized and what the ROIs are. I think it's different. And I think in some cases it's absolutely true because a lot of pet businesses are small operations where the margins aren't super favorable. And so that does make it so they don't have those 6 or 7 figure budgets. But I do think probably a hurdle for you would be explaining the ROI on even a $200 a month spend, and that it's not, I would imagine. And so do you have a talk track for that, or do you think you have to make it different, make that talk track different for every business?
Well, in terms of doing that, where we're serving the smaller business community, we're actually changing the way that we do that right now. So instead of, if somebody were to come in and they were going to do a website, then we're going to be like, okay, well, do you need hosting? Yep, I need hosting. Awesome. Do you need search engine optimization? Do you know what your keywords are? So by the time all these things are said and done, you can easily pick up a $10, $12, $15, $20,000 bill,
right?
For a moderate site. But these are all things that we need to know. So what we're going to be doing, though, is most people don't have that kind of money laying around. We were at the Pet Sitters International at their national conference last year, and one of the slides in the opening keynote mentioned the average marketing budget for the people that took their survey, which I think that they had a pretty good turnout, was just over $1,000
annually.
So annually, $1,000 is what they're spending on marketing. And I'm like, I spent that yesterday.
Right.
So it's like, and that's an over exaggeration, but it's just, that's kind of where we come from. So to be able to be a service provider in the pet space and be able to serve small businesses, we understand going into this that there's going to be a couple of years where we have to do a lot of education. Right? We've got to be able to do a lot of education. We've got to be able to change our programs so that they meet people where they're at. Right? It's not that they don't need the $20,000 program. It's not that they couldn't totally use and quadruple their business with this. It's just that there's so many different hurdles that are in the way. But if we can turn that around and say, hey, what about if we did it for $95 a month? Is that more reasonable?
So you'll do that. So you will really individualize. So you're really truly doing this from passion when you're talking about the pet space. Seeing as it doesn't have a huge ROI for you, you're still willing to, and you do look at different ways to get inside of it with your customer to figure out, even if it's not going to benefit you financially in a massive way, it's almost a way of giving back.
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly how I look at it is part of it is just we need to come to the table. Like the industry needs people like yourself that are, that are there and that are knowledgeable and that are willing to come even when it doesn't necessarily impact their bottom line. Now, my thought process is, look, I want to be that guy. Like I don't like sitting in on webinars or going to conferences and listening to people talk and going, that's not right.
Right.
That's not right. And they just told this room of 50 people or 200 people the exact wrong thing. Like I was at one not too long ago where there was I'm doing my little finger air quotes thing. You can't see it because it's a podcast, but there was a marketing.
I can feel it though. I can feel it.
Can you feel it?
I can. I
With
feel it.
Sarcasm font and everything.
Totally.
But they were talking about things like virtual reality. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. But there's not one person in this entire conference that would be able to take advantage of VR.
Technology, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Not right now.
Well, I think part of the issue here, and this goes into this can bring us to a whole other stratosphere of discussion, is that the pet industry is still new and nuanced and fragmented. And what we're seeing in the pet space, and I'd say it's, again, all due respect, that there are a lot of people who have kind of anointed themselves experts without actually necessarily having the credentials. And I'm not talking about the academic credentials. I'm talking about the fact that they've, done what they're teaching other people to do in a meaningful, scalable, multiple times way. And I do think the pet industry is like, are you laughing at the fireworks?
No, you're absolutely right, because that's like one of the things that I typically will tell people is they say, what are some of the biggest things? I'm like, you gotta be able to take a step back and really just give somebody a sniff test, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just think like, okay, why are you coming at me so hard? Or why are you pushing so hard? Or, if you're trying to sell me a product, have you actually made money selling anything other than that product? Or is this kind of your thing? Like, we've got to be able to do that. But the problem is I think that a lot of people aren't comfortable with marketing, so they don't trust their intuition.
That's right.
And realistically, they should. I mean, if like my dog doesn't know anything about marketing, but he'll tell you who I'm not going to do business with in a second. Like if my dog doesn't like you, sorry.
Milo. I love that you put it all on Milo. All right, we're going to be back.
He's actually sitting at my feet, by the way, snoring gently. So
because he knows that you're doing an awesome podcast. That's why he's feeling the energy. All right, listen, we're going to take this. We're going to put this on hold. We're going to listen to some sponsor stuff, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about more stuff like this and see where the conversation takes us. I may completely abandon the pre-populated list of questions that I would typically go into the second part of the show with, because I love talking to you. I love this conversation. I love how aligned we are in our thinking. And, I feel like you challenge my thinking, and I would assume that you're challenging listener thinking. And you're just exactly what I thought. You're the right guy to be on the show today talking about this and within, the importance of marketing within the pet space. So there's more fireworks. See, that's like the celebratory fireworks. It's like I said something, and the neighborhood was like, "Yeah, fireworks."
Exactly.
Yes.
They agree.
Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, celebrate." All right, so we'll be right back, and I'm pretty sure when we come back, there will be no what's the word when we're not missing any fireworks. There won't be any scarcity of fireworks. There will be more fireworks to come. Is my point.
Abundance.
There will be an abundance of fireworks, and not just because we're talking about awesome things, but because I live in Chicago the day after 4th of July. So, okay, on that note, we'll be right back.
They wake me up every morning. Their tails are always wagging. They're just running constantly and chasing, shadows and sticks. Their coats are much better. They're very happy dogs. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy. DINOVITE.com. I have 3 dogs, golden retrievers, and I make their own food: ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops. It takes a few minutes every week. Before the Dynovite, they were overweight. They slept all the time, so now they jump all over me when I'm putting it in their bowls. They're crazy about this food, and their vet said that it's so much healthier for them. Go check out Rescue Dogs. They're just waiting to be loved. Get them started on this Dynovite diet, the health food for animals, and you'll see amazing results.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey guys, Jamie Migdal with my friend and guest and colleague, Mike. It's easy for me to say, Mike Linville from Black Dog Marketing. We're talking about marketing in the pet space and how pet business owners should be thinking about marketing. Speaking of that, I do want to mention, I know you just heard from sponsors, but I'm going to go ahead and give you one more sponsor mention for the show, which is my friends at PetSmart. We actually at FetchFind, which is my company that I have it's my day job. Pet Life Radio is my give back. I don't get paid for this. I just do it because I love it. I love the station. I love the people associated with it. And I feel like if I can help anybody through this, hour a week of recording these shows, and I'm happy to do it. But the station needs to get paid, right? So I help find sponsors. And one of the sponsors that I brought on was a company, which again, I'm sure you've heard of before, which is called PetSmart. And that little $8 billion pet company thing. So PetSmart is a company that I've been, listen, they're around. I'm in the pet industry. I know them really well. Over the last couple of years, I've got to know them better. And they do a lot of really great things in digital media. They own a company called Blog Paws, Pet 360, All Paws, which is a animal rescue site. They also have, a lot of people who work for them, a lot of people I know, a lot of people who started their career at PetSmart, who are now, doing all kinds of different amazing things. And also the people who I know that work at PetSmart currently, whether it's like in their home office or their New York office or on the store level. So we've gotten to know them. I've gotten to know them really well over the last couple of years, to the point where I feel really strongly that PetSmart's a great place for folks looking to establish a career working with pets. They've got a couple of amazing programs on the store level for education. I really love their grooming program. It's a place where you can actually get trained through a very elaborate and very sound academic program to learn how to be a groomer, and then work there in their stores and kind of see where the career leads you. So we've really gotten to know that part of the program. We've really gotten to know the people associated with PetSmart. And so I said, listen, I really love what you do. Do you hear this? I really love what you guys do. Would you guys want to be a sponsor of the radio show? Because I think a lot of people who listen to the radio show are looking for maybe something to do with pets on a more traditional level. And so I feel like PetSmart kind of fits that. So they are my sponsors for the show. Really proud to have them, really proud for the association too, especially their grooming academy. So if you want any more information about that, you can ask me personally. I can hook you up with them directly, Jamie at PetLifeRadio.com. You can also, of course, go to their website, which I believe is, you can just type in jobs, PetSmart grooming jobs, and you can find your way through there. But really, you can come to FetchFind as well, and we can help you as well. But if you're looking for creating a path and a career for yourself, PetSmart is a great place to start. Grooming specifically is a really smart place to explore. Okay, so that's my sponsor mention. Now we're going to talk back about Mike. Mike, wouldn't you like PetSmart to be a client?
Yeah, PetSmart would be a good client.
Yeah, I think they would be. And listen, those people,
what's really interesting though is to be honest with you, all I really want is one, I hate to say it like this because it's so crass, but one cash cow kind of client that's the big corporate whatever, because that comes with its own set of things that drive me nuts, right? It's the meeting upon meeting upon meeting and the inability to make decisions until things have been okayed and I'm just I like to go. I want to get things done. So I like to have just one to kind of keep everything nice and steady, and then I'd really rather focus on either projects that are interesting or, ultimately our own internal projects that are going to go to generating recurring revenue.
So in other words, thinking of a company like PetSmart or, a company in the billions of dollars in revenue category, you see those as being, as far as marketing, you see those businesses as being kind of more to wade through versus a startup where they're just more agile and they can make decisions quicker. And is that what you're talking
about?
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm a big fan of results. And results are a matter of doing things. You don't get results by sitting in meetings, and that's the core. And I know that it's necessary. I know that corporate culture is, it's there and it's fine. It's just not my preferred cup of tea. So, we usually keep one or two of those types of clients around. I mean, that's we've got a special program for people that want that level of service. So, we like to keep those folks around, but I really, the passion I think ultimately resides in, how can we elevate the industry as a whole, not just one or two people that are making a crap ton of money. How can we make them more money?
Right. And I do think too, there is I know this is obviously we're not talking about PetSmart specifically, but around that, I do think that some of those companies that are larger, whether it's PetSmart or any other big box or any other like national chain of pet care companies, I do think that they are more willing right now to look at some of those kind of more agile marketing initiatives because of social. You know, social has, I think, well, listen, I think this, you tell me if social has made it a more level playing field. Do you agree with that?
I guess it all depends on what a level playing field for engagement and traffic. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Engage. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly. I was just talking about engagement and traffic only. I mean, obviously budget.
Well, honestly though, I don't even think that it's leveled the playing field. I think that it's switched because there are a lot of things that smaller organizations can do that big companies just can't. You know, I mean, a small organization has a personality. They've got a purpose. They've got a mission. They've got a why. Larger organizations, you're going to have a cog within that's going to be responsible for doing that, and then they're going to pass that down to their VA or their social media assistant or some other. So the person that's actually doing the work for somebody like a big box, a PetSmart, a whatever, may not necessarily have the same passion and enthusiasm as somebody that's doing it for, my local El Dorado Hills, local pet food store or whatever the case. It's different. It's unique.
Yeah, I think it is. I can't tell, from organization to organization what the levels of passion are. But I think when it comes to marketing, your point being that the authenticity is what ends up, and that's what I'm hearing you talk about, is this kind of authenticity. And probably why you like working with pet businesses so much is that the one thing pet businesses don't lack is authenticity. Right? I mean, they just... Yeah, and right. I mean, an attitude and it's such a, because when you've got such deep fragmentation and such early growth in an industry that is now approaching $70 billion in consumer spend, it's inevitable, right? Because this just happened over the last 20 years. Like, we can't keep up. I mean, no one can keep up with it. Everyone's looking around and going, what's next? What are we doing? What's happening? I mean, I think everybody's in that boat. So you do get like a wide variety of,
for sure.
Of characters, if you will, and personalities. All right. So tell me, do you love that are you enjoying these fireworks? Do you feel like does this make you want to move to Chicago?
I do, actually. I can't wait to come back out. I can't wait to come out to Chicago. It's been a long time since I've been there, but I love it. I think it's there for impact. So it'll be interesting to go back and listen to the podcast and see where they're at, because that's just, that's where they needed to be.
That's exactly right. It's called the universe taking care of our podcast. All right. So let's just talk practically now, because I do like to give some practical things for folks since they've spent, some ungodly amount of time listening to us go on and on. What can we say? Like, so if I'm a pet business owner, let's just pick one kind of demographic category. So I'm a pet business owner. I'm, about $100,000 a year in revenue. Maybe I've got a couple of employees. Tell me, what are 3 things I can do today, or up to 3 things? Maybe it's just one big thing. 3 things I can do today to change my marketing footprint. Okay.
So I'm assuming that somebody would probably want to start looking at digital, which is why they would be talking to somebody like us. So the first thing that I would do is I'd say we've got to be able to take a look at the website. There's a lot of people that are doing websites based on technology that's 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. We've got to make sure that everything is nice and it's current and it's mobile, because we've got to be able to think about how people are consuming the content. And it is definitely going away from desktop toward mobile devices. So we want to make sure that you get that. That's crucial. You've got to be able to show up to the game. The second thing I would say is we've got to be able to have at least one lead generator on the website, whether that's some sort of a free download, it could be a coupon, it could be a special report, it could be just some sort of a way for the business owner to be able to collect a lead. Because what happens right now is, for everybody that goes to your website on any given day, roughly 2% of those people are really in a position to make some sort of a buying decision. The other 98% are just going to go away and you're never going to hear from them again. So what we want to be able to do is light some fireworks, and then we want to be able to collect their name and their email address. Because if we can collect their name or their email address, so let's say, for example, I run a pet sitting business. Okay. And if one of the things that I'm really looking to do is I'm looking to bring on new customers, what I got to do is I got to figure out, well, what does that customer look like? Maybe that customer is somebody that really enjoys spending time with their dogs. They really care about the well-being of their animals. They go spend a bunch of time with them. So if that's my perfect customer, then I could do something like, hey, here's 15 dog-friendly things that you can do this weekend in your hometown. or something simple like that, right? It's just something that we know a little bit about the people that download this. But once I get a name and I get an email address, once that person goes away, I can still continue to have a conversation. I can still continue to give them value, right? Okay. I can still continue to let them know, well, why would they need a pet sitter? You know, if they're on a pet sitter's website, they probably need one for some reason or another. Right. They know that they need one. Maybe they don't know what to look for. So maybe we could send them a blog post or something about, hey, here's 10 questions to ask your next pet sitter. Because realistically, pet sitting is crazy, right? For pet sitters, you give people a key to give them access to your most expensive property and to take care of your most beloved properties, your pets, your people. So I'm like, man, that's huge. And people just do it willy-nilly, like, yeah, okay, you're the one that answered the ad. I'm like, no, you should probably check, like, make sure background checks are done, make sure security checks are done, make sure somebody's not rifling through your meds and your, underpants
make sure,
or whatever.
Make sure that the staff is using Fetch My Monthly Pro for education.
Make sure the staff is absolutely using Fetch My Monthly Pro. And if not,
had to.
Yeah, for sure. So that would be it. So number 1, make sure that your website is there. Step number 2 is make sure that you have some sort of a lead generator. And then step number 3 is create some sort of a report that you can look at a minimum, a monthly basis. Because everything that we're going to be doing in marketing is going to take resources, right? It's either going to take time, it's going to take money, it's going to take energy, it's going to take whatever.
All of it.
So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to say, okay, what am I getting out of that? Right? Because not everything is going to be is an easy ROI calculation, meaning I spent $2 here and then those people came and bought $14. And the new social world that we're in, there's a lot of really sophisticated companies that don't even try to track ROI anymore because you can't. Right, because you don't know if it was the 4th blog post. If you've got retargeting campaigns, you don't know what it is that made people move. That's right. You know how you can tell how they got onto your list initially, and you can tell how they've been engaging since then. But ROI is really kind of a hard calculation. But we want to know something about those activities because it's, I guess I'm not a religious guy, but like the Bible, right? People say the Bible's there, it's stories. It's either there to teach you something or it's there to warn you about something. So it's the same thing about marketing. Like every time you do marketing, even if it's a completely failed email marketing campaign, you can learn something from that.
Did you just equate marketing to the Bible? I think you did, and I loved it.
Where were the fireworks on that one?
I don't know, but that was amazing. I think we should just hang up now and be done because that's a drop the mic because I don't think I've ever heard anyone do that. Speaking of drop the mic, I am going to drop you actually because our time is up. You are the mic, and this has been truly, Mike. I loved our time together. I loved everything we talked about. I loved just the energy that you have. I love the fireworks that we got to experience together, and I love the messages that you delivered. So if people want to find you, blackdogmarketing.com, correct? That'll be the easiest thing.
Easy. Yeah, the website's the easiest place. That's got all of our contact info, phone numbers, all that good stuff.
All right, and then your Facebook page, I think, kicks ass. So if you want to check out the Facebook page, you should, because I really like it. I'm going to actually just make it one of the Facebook pages that I follow first that comes up in my feed. So I didn't realize how great it was. And that's it. So please, Mike, you and I will be in touch because I feel like we for sure have some things to talk about. And I'm grateful that you got to spend the time that you took the time that we got to spend the time together today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, everybody, this is Jamie Migdal. You've just enjoyed a wonderful episode with Mike Linville from Black Dog Marketing talking about marketing in the pet industry, which is what this show is all about, the pet industry, supporting you, helping you find your passion. If you don't do it today, then you should do it tomorrow. And if you don't do it tomorrow, then think about doing it today. That's it. I'm Jamie Migdal. I'm your host. We'll see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.